Step back into the iconic world of An Officer and a Gentleman, the romantic military drama that defined a decade. Over 40 years later, where are the stars who brought these unforgettable characters to life? From Richard Gere's breakout role to Oscar winner Gossett Jr., we explore the lives, careers, and legacies of the cast, some thriving, some tragically gone. Join us as we reveal how time has shaped the real people behind this beloved classic. Richard Gere portrayed Zack Mayo in An Officer and a Gentleman, 1982, when he was 33 years old. Zack Mayo is a defiant, emotionally distant young man shaped by a troubled upbringing and an absent alcoholic father. He enlists in Navy Aviation Officer Candidate School, hoping to escape his aimless life and find purpose. Initially selfish and arrogant, Zack clashes with the tough and principled Gunnery Sergeant Foley, who gradually pushes him toward maturity and accountability. Throughout training, Zack forms a genuine connection with factory worker Paula, which challenges his worldview and helps him embrace vulnerability. By the end of the film, Zack earns his commission and dramatically returns to Paula, symbolizing both personal growth and romantic commitment. Richard Gere's powerful performance catapulted him into Hollywood stardom. He later starred in iconic films such as Pretty Woman, 1990, and Chicago, 2002. As of July 2025, Richard Gere is alive and 75 years old, continuing to advocate for human rights, Tibetan causes, and spiritual wellness while occasionally working in film. Debra Winger portrayed Paula in An Officer and a Gentleman, 1982, when she was 27 years old. Paula is a smart, grounded factory worker from a working-class town that orbits around the local naval base. Tired of seeing local girls seduced and abandoned by officer candidates, Paula is wary but intrigued when she meets Zack Mayo. Her strength lies in her emotional intelligence and quiet resilience. She's unafraid to demand more from life and love. Through her relationship with Zack, she becomes a mirror to his inner conflict, refusing to accept anything less than sincerity. Her influence is pivotal in his transformation, and their relationship culminates in one of the most famous romantic finales in film history. Zack, now an officer, lifts her from the factory floor and carries her into a new life. Debra Winger's layered performance earned her an Academy Award nomination. As of July 2025, Winger is alive and 70 years old. Though she stepped back from mainstream fame, she continues to act selectively and remains respected for her integrity and talent. David Keith portrayed Sid Worley in An Officer and a Gentleman, 1982, when he was 28 years old. Sid is Zack Mayo's roommate and loyal friend, a man of honor, warmth, and quiet ambition. Hailing from a military background, he joins officer training to meet family expectations, but carries internal doubts. During the program, Sid falls for Lynette, a local woman who appears loving but is secretly determined to marry an officer. When Sid fails to complete training and Lynette reveals her rejection, his emotional world collapses. Stripped of both his dreams and his love, he checks into a motel and tragically dies by suicide, one of the film's most heartbreaking and sobering moments. His death shakes Zack and becomes a turning point in the story. David Keith brought heartfelt vulnerability to the role, earning widespread acclaim. He later appeared in films like Firestarter, 1984, and Daredevil, 2003. As of July 2025, David Keith is alive and 71 years old, occasionally acting and also active in directing and producing within the film industry. Lisa Blount portrayed Lynette Pomeroy in An Officer and a Gentleman, 1982, when she was 25 years old. Lynette is a factory worker and Paula's close friend, living in a small town defined by the dreams of marrying into the military. Ambitious and cunning, Lynette enters into a relationship with Sid Worley, a kind-hearted officer candidate. Though she claims to love him, her motivations are ultimately driven by a desire to escape her surroundings through a strategic marriage. When Sid fails to graduate and proposes anyway, she cruelly rejects him, triggering the tragic chain of events that lead to his suicide. Lynette's character is complex, both a victim of circumstance and an agent of heartbreak. Lisa Blount portrayed her with subtlety, conveying both charm and cold ambition. Outside of acting, Blount was a producer and won an Academy Award for The Accountant, 2001. Tragically, Lisa Blount passed away on October 25, 2010, at the age of 53. She was found dead in her home in Arkansas. The cause was reported to be a chronic illness related to idiopathic thrombocytopenic purpura, a rare blood disorder. Robert Loggia portrayed Byron Mayo in An Officer and a Gentleman, 1982, when he was 52 years old. Byron Mayo is Zack's estranged father, a hardened, emotionally distant man who served in the Navy and now spends his days in a haze of alcohol and bitterness. Living alone in a dingy apartment near a naval base in the Philippines, Byron represents everything Zack wants to escape. He offers little support, discourages Zack's ambitions, and reflects a lifetime of missed opportunities and disconnection. Despite his cruelty, Byron's presence in the story helps frame Zack's emotional walls and desire to break the cycle of neglect. Robert Loggia delivered a chillingly realistic performance, portraying a man broken by life and incapable of change. In real life, Loggia had a long and celebrated career with roles in Scarface, 1983, Big, 1988, and Independence Day, 1996. He was nominated for an Academy Award in Jagged Edge, 1985. Robert Loggia passed away on December 4, 2015, at the age of 85, due to complications from Alzheimer's disease, which he had battled for 5 years. Gossett Jr. portrayed Gunnery Sergeant Emil Foley in An Officer and a Gentleman, 1982, when he was 46 years old. Sergeant Foley is a no-nonsense, battle-hardened drill instructor whose mission is to mold officer candidates into disciplined, responsible leaders. Fierce yet fair, Foley doesn't tolerate weakness or excuses, and he relentlessly pushes the cadets to their physical and emotional limits. His methods are brutal, but his intent is deeply rooted in building character and breaking down egos. Foley recognizes potential in Zack Mayo and challenges him to rise above his selfishness. In one of the film's most iconic scenes, he is outmatched in a sparring match by Zack, a moment that marks mutual respect. Gossett's commanding presence and layered performance earned him the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor, the first African-American male to win in that category. In real life, Gossett Jr. had a prolific career spanning over 6 decades. He passed away on March 29, 2024, at the age of 87, due to complications from respiratory failure, leaving behind a powerful legacy of groundbreaking performances and advocacy. Lisa Eilbacher portrayed Casey Seeger in An Officer and a Gentleman, 1982, when she was 26 years old. Casey Seeger is one of the few female candidates in the Navy Aviation Officer Candidate School, determined to earn her place in a male-dominated environment. Though initially struggling with the physical demands of training, particularly the obstacle course, Casey's resilience and dedication shine through. Her personal triumph, completing the course after relentless effort, becomes a symbol of perseverance in the film. She's intelligent, driven, and quietly proud, earning respect from peers and instructors alike. Eilbacher's portrayal gives the character a dignified, relatable strength. In real life, Lisa Eilbacher was a familiar face in 1980s film and television, also starring in Beverly Hills Cop, 1984. After a successful career, she stepped back from the spotlight in the 1990s. As of July 2025, Lisa Eilbacher is alive and 69 years old, living a private life away from the industry, having left behind a legacy of strong, impactful performances. Victor French portrayed Joe Pokrivky in An Officer and a Gentleman, 1982, when he was 47 years old. Joe is Paula's father, a humble, hard-working man who appears in a brief but telling scene in the film. He embodies the small-town, working-class life that Paula seeks to transcend. Though he doesn't say much, Joe represents the quiet, resigned reality many families face, where dreams often give way to survival. His presence deepens the background of Paula's life and adds emotional texture to her motivation and choices. Victor French was already well known by the time of this film, particularly for his television roles as Mr. Edwards in Little House on the Prairie and as Mark Gordon in Highway to Heaven. His warm, paternal presence resonated with audiences across generations. Tragically, Victor French passed away on June 15, 1989, at the age of 54, after a battle with lung cancer. His death was a significant loss to television fans, and he remains beloved for his heartfelt performances and on-screen humanity. Tony Plana portrayed Emiliano della Sera in An Officer and a Gentleman, 1982, when he was 30 years old. Emiliano della Sera is one of Zack Mayo's fellow officer candidates, disciplined, respectful, and determined. Though his role in the film is smaller, della Sera contributes to the authenticity of the diverse group of recruits, each carrying different dreams and pressures. He is seen participating in group training sequences, struggling through the physical rigors of the program, and standing in solidarity with his peers as they are shaped by Sergeant Foley's harsh instruction. Tony Plana's presence adds depth to the ensemble and helps ground the story in realism. Outside of the film, Tony Plana became widely recognized for his role as Ignacio Suarez in Ugly Betty and is respected for his work both in front of and behind the camera. As of July 2025, Tony Plana is alive and 73 years old. He continues to act in television and film and is also a dedicated educator and advocate for Latino representation in the arts. David Caruso portrayed Topper Daniels in An Officer and a Gentleman, 1982, when he was 26 years old. Topper Daniels is one of the officer candidates training alongside Zack Mayo. Though not a central figure, Topper adds to the realistic ensemble dynamic of the group. A young man navigating the intense psychological and physical trials of military training. He's seen participating in drills and barrack scenes, offering brief glimpses of camaraderie and shared hardship. David Caruso, in one of his early film roles, brought subtle energy to the part and would later go on to become a major television star. His breakout role came in NYPD Blue, followed by leading the cast of CSI Miami as Lieutenant Horatio Kane, known for his iconic one-liners and sunglasses. As of July 2025, David Caruso is alive and 69 years old. He retired from acting in 2012 and has since lived largely out of the spotlight, focusing on personal ventures and private life, maintaining a low public profile. Harold Sylvester portrayed Perryman in An Officer and a Gentleman, 1982, when he was 33 years old. Perryman is another of the officer candidates undergoing the grueling training regimen under Sergeant Foley's command. Though a secondary character, Perryman represents the camaraderie and emotional diversity within the group. He brings a sense of grounded maturity to the ensemble, demonstrating quiet resilience and a supportive attitude toward his fellow trainees. His character stands as a symbol of teamwork, often seen assisting others and enduring the same physical and mental tests with determined calm. Harold Sylvester delivers a sincere and believable performance that enriches the film's portrayal of military life. Outside of An Officer and a Gentleman, Sylvester had a successful acting career, notably appearing in Married, with Children as Griff, and guest starring in numerous TV shows. As of July 2025, Harold Sylvester is alive and 76 years old. While retired from regular screen appearances, he remains respected for his contributions to film and television throughout the 1980s and 1990s. Elizabeth Rogers portrayed Betty Worley in An Officer and a Gentleman, 1982, when she was 48 years old. Betty Worley is Sid Worley's loving and proud mother. Though she only appears briefly, her presence is emotionally impactful. She attends Sid's training graduation with the hope of seeing her son become a commissioned officer, a moment that tragically never comes. Betty's warm but worried demeanor reveals the high hopes and familial pride that often surround military service, and her character's loss adds emotional weight to Sid's tragic suicide. Elizabeth Rogers portrayed her with quiet sorrow and dignity, leaving a lasting impression despite limited screen time. Rogers had a steady career in television, with appearances in shows like Star Trek and Dragnet. Sadly, she passed away on November 6, 2004, at the age of 70. While the exact cause of death was not widely publicized, her death marked the end of a respected and consistent career in supporting roles that added emotional texture to many American productions. John Laughlin portrayed Troy in An Officer and a Gentleman, 1982, when he was 26 years old. Troy is one of the officer candidates going through the physically and mentally exhausting aviation training program. Though he isn't a central figure in the plot, Troy contributes to the atmosphere of military rigor and group dynamics that surround Zack Mayo's journey. His character serves as part of the narrative's foundation of teamwork, pressure, and growth. John Laughlin portrayed Troy with conviction and authenticity, adding to the ensemble's sense of realism. Following his role in this film, Laughlin built a solid career in both film and television, appearing in Footloose, 1984, The Rockford Files, and various soap operas. Known for his rugged charm and versatility, Laughlin often portrayed blue-collar or law enforcement characters. As of July 2025, John Laughlin is alive and 69 years old, continuing to take on occasional acting roles while maintaining a relatively low public profile. Grace Zabriskie portrayed Esther Pokrivki in An Officer and a Gentleman, 1982, when she was 41 years old. Esther is Paula's mother, a weary woman who has witnessed the harsh realities of factory life and unfulfilled promises. Though her role is small, she provides a glimpse into the emotional legacy passed down to Paula, shaped by years of struggle, disappointment, and quiet endurance. Esther is skeptical of Paula's relationship with Zack, cautioning her daughter not to expect too much from men like him. Grace Zabriskie's portrayal adds depth and authenticity, reinforcing the socio-economic backdrop of the story. Known for her unique intensity and memorable voice, Zabriskie has built a prolific career in film and television, notably in Twin Peaks, Big Love, and Seinfeld. As of July 2025, Grace Zabriskie is alive and 84 years old. She continues to act in both indie films and television, respected for her versatility and her long-standing presence in character-driven roles. Dennis Rucker portrayed Donnie in An Officer and a Gentleman, 1982, when he was 35 years old. Donnie is one of the officer candidates undergoing rigorous training at the Naval Aviation Officer Candidate School. While his role is relatively minor in terms of screen time, he contributes to the camaraderie and dynamic tension within the trainee group. Donnie reflects the average man trying to push past his physical and emotional limits to earn the right to serve as a naval officer. His presence adds to the realism of the program's grueling nature and the diverse range of personalities that populate it. Dennis Rucker brought a natural, grounded presence to the role, helping to flesh out the ensemble's atmosphere of competition and mutual respect. Outside this film, Rucker worked steadily in both television and film throughout the 1980s and 1990s. As of July 2025, Dennis Rucker is alive and 78 years old. Though he has largely stepped back from acting, enjoying a quiet life away from the public spotlight. Who is your favorite character from An Officer and a Gentleman? How do you feel knowing that some cast members are no longer with us? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy this type of content, Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications to stay updated. We appreciate your support and are glad to have you as part of our community.